Hobby now. It is November 29th of 2023. I'm ZiggyNo. I'm your host. Talk about what's going on in the hobby right now. This is on YouTube at ZiggyNo and podcasting, I think somewhere. That's Hobby Now. We're going to talk a little bit about a couple things, updates, some specials I've heard about in the hobby, what your thoughts are on this thankful weekend. Let's flash back to the thankful weekend I had. Thanksgiving was last week. We are on Wednesday, so just over a little week away, removed from that wonderful holiday weekend. We'll talk about the MVP buyback and trickle-down effects. We'll look into December. Since December starts on Friday, what's coming up in December, what to expect, what your plans are, what are you doing, how are you buying, how are you selling? Also do a quick update on just kind of the market, and not market as far as card market, but business market. We're talking about StarStock and Tag and some other companies in the hobbies. Now a good time to be in the hobby with the business? Is it a bad time? Who's doing well, who's not? Right. And then we'll talk a little bit about set collecting. I heard a great conversation. It was on Monday between the Mike's retro sports cards, trade cards. Forgive me. I'll try to drop a note in the bottom talking about sets. And we are going to talk about what I'm doing in the hobby. Give me an update on where I am with some cards. Got some PSA cards back. I sent some cards off to DC 87. What motivated me to do that? What my plans are for selling, preparing for the December, January, and we'll talk all that out. Before I do that, I'll just say on a personal note, today's a super exciting day. It is Wednesday, kickoff to the high school basketball season. My two oldest sons are playing varsity basketball. One's a senior, one is a sophomore. I will say, without going into too much detail, my sophomore has always been really good at basketball. He really, really has. He's sometimes I wonder who's father, because I have no basketball talent. Anyway, super excited about him starting his sophomore season. His older brother on his senior season. Like I said, they kick off. They tip off tonight. I'm a football guy growing up, so but super excited. And I'll be probably every Wednesday trying to catch or get updates on those games, and hopefully keeping these videos coming out, these podcasts. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and jump into thankful weekend. I have to say I had a really great Thanksgiving weekend. I hope you all did as well. There was some cool, interesting content. I'll be honest, I thought the content was a little slow, which I can understand, which I think is kind of good. Like I didn't feel like I was missing anything. I don't remember anything big happening over the weekend. A lot of the same stuff being regurgitated, some really good conversations, I guess, some good interviews. But to me, what really sparked my interest and got me going this weekend was the buyback. I had a pretty good amount of buyback from the Otani mainly. I think I had like 500 some bucks in Otani and 100 some bucks, 200 bucks in Acuna. So I ended up going to Blowout, which is the fantastic store in Chantilly, Virginia, and used my, or not all of it, used some of my credit there. The reason I decided to go in there is I figured they had the best deals and the best variety for hobby boxes. I figured if I'm gonna use this, I'm not gonna buy retail, I'm not gonna buy something weird. I'm gonna use it to get some hobby boxes. Also, I was happy to say that they let you use it on anything, which I guess all stores do. But I mean, being that it's Blowouts, the front end, I don't think these guys are have any caps on the buyback. They have a deep inventory. Like you can get some old boxes. I looked at when I got there, the guys, I said to him, can I use this on Topps and Panini? He's like, yeah, anything in the store. That changed my mind. So I came in there thinking I was going to have to use it on Topps products. I'm like, well, what Topps products do I want to get? Do I get a box of Dynasty and just blow it out, or do I get a couple boxes of Update? So anyway, that whole ability to do other things really changed my whole plan. So I spent a lot of time looking at football. I spent a lot of time looking at basketball. In the end, after about 20 minutes of walking back and forth money that I basically could spend on anything I wanted to the store, I ended up getting a jumbo box of Topps Chrome, which now I'm thinking to myself, I'm happy I did it. I opened it, had a great rip. I'm thinking, why did I get Topps Chrome again? Like I was trying to get out of the buybacks. I kind of wish I had gotten Bowman HTA. I don't know. There was a couple things I thought about. I also did get a box of hoops. Now, it's funny, when I came in there, my first thought was, I'm not going to get hoops. Hoops is just a waste of my time. But I ended up getting hoops because I guess it was a video I watched. Who was it that this video? Talking about iconic sets and challenging that Prizm is not the iconic set. I think this is Victor Sports Card Dad. This one, Victor Sport. I'm mixing them up. Victor, some quirky card dude. I think he said it. Yeah. And I was like, he's right. So I'm going to buy a box of hoops. So I got a box of hoops. I was excited about box of hoops. And I haven't opened that. I'm stashing it away. I don't know if I'm going to open it. I don't, because I'll be honest, I hate sorting base cards. kind of a confession. When I get hits, I eat the hits up. But the base cards, I normally donate those, give them away, just or they sit around for a while. I do not. I'm not one of those card guys who has a growing collection. I freaking call the herd. I'm just killing cards, and I'm not burning them or throwing away yet. But I give them away, ship them to people, get rid of them. I just don't like having a lot of cards. So Hoops is a box that comes in. It's going to take a lot of inventory, even Chrome, a lot of inventory. In fact, I watched Neo open up his Breaker's Delight, and I thought to myself, would I have gotten Breaker's Delight over Chrome? I'm happy I got the Chrome because I was going after buybacks, and I'll talk about that too. But that I didn't think about it. I know though it has the Delight, so it wasn't like it was an option I passed up or something. So anyway, but it got me thinking. What I want to talk about this is the longevity of a dollar spent, invested. I hate to use the word, consumed by the hobby. How that dollar has so much longevity for a collector. Now, two things can happen. If you are truly a hobbyist, a collector, someone who's in this, and you've been here a while, you'll understand this. This is going to make sense. If you're new to the hobby, if you're just listening to this in the last 6 months, year, maybe 2 years, you're in the hobby, you might totally miss this. And that is that there's two types of people in the hobby. There are people who are like me, kind of they're lifers, and there's those who just come and go, kind of like the ships that come into a naval city. They're there for 6 months and they're back out to port. And that 6 months there, you're partying on town, you're having a great time, you're enjoying the hobby. As soon as you go out, there's so many other distractions, the hobby just slips away. And in that case, your longevity dies. Like you spend money on a box of cards, and then that box of cards might sit in your footlocker for years. Before you take it out and oh, there's some money here, some value. And then you get a little kickback on that, right? But even then, you're looking for the quickest exit. You're not thinking about, oh, I should grade these cards or I should have done this with cards. So your longevity when you're a short-termer in the hobby is small. But when you're long-term, like someone like me, I'll think about like this. Over the summer, I decided to buy breaks of Otani and Okuna. I'm sorry, Braves and Angels, chasing them, their cards for the buyback. Like I said, I got a bunch of them. Now, how much did I spend? I could go back and look at my records. I know I spent more than I got in the buyback, but I also got a bunch of cards that I'm grading, cards, some autograph cards, nothing huge. I don't think I got, what's that dude's name? I don't think I got the Atlanta Brave guy. I think I got not a Yankee, an Angels rookie art. Anyway, it's not important. I also had a couple of dudes. But my point is, that money invested, I was able to use some of that buyback money, right? Longevity of those breaks that I spent, that entertainment I got from the breaking. I'm able to take some of those buyback money. I go out and get a box. So now I get to use some more of that. And not only did I get to buy a box, but I bought a local card store, which is not my typical thing. I normally buy my boxes direct from manufacturers or on these auctions, or something where I feel like I'm getting a deal as close as I can to the top layer of the pyramid of my layer structure, or seldom do I get local card store. And I even say this, Blowout's prices weren't better than anybody else. I think I paid $4.20 for the hobby box or the jumbo Chrome. That's not better. I know I could find it better somewhere else. And the Hoops was $2.20, so it wasn't like they were better. Their prices were top of the market. They were setting the market price. That being said, when I opened that jumbo box, which I did, I was going to post a video, but I've decided not to post it yet because I'll be honest, I can't talk and open cards at the same time. I can talk and I can open cards, but I can't do both at that. So anyway, when I opened that box, I got great entertainment out of it. Right? If I was Neo, I could have maybe made a video and got a kickback on some cash. There's a lot of longevity to that, right? There was I got to use the buybacks to buy 2 boxes. I open one box and open the box. I get a great hit in the box. I got several cool cards in the box. My favorite is I pulled a Carol Corbin, whatever, his Radiant rookie card. And I have to tell you, it's a gorgeous card. It is a beautiful looking card. Maybe I'll step aside and look at that card for you. I'll show it to you on the YouTube channel here. And that made the box fun. Now, did it win back the value of the box? Probably not. Once I graded it, probably get me a couple $100. I also did though. I pulled $120 in buyback out of the box. I pulled an Ohtani to $350, which is a $100 buyback, and I got an Acuna base. So that's another 20. So it's a $120 buyback out of the box. And I'm thinking to myself, again, longevity of the hobby. I have a couple of things in play. Right, I have a bunch of base cards, refractor cards I could grade. All that later on could pay me dividends, like growing a plant that's now giving you fruit. And that is the longevity of the hobby. That's something that is so difficult to explain to people. And I'm just giving you a high level. I'm trying to stay on my 30 minutes. I'm way over already. But if you can just, if you get it, you get it. Like, yeah, I do that all the time. I have things like that. I got this and that. And that's why a lot of people's sunk money into it isn't really the money, it's the time. Like that Radiant card, what's the value of the Radiant? To me, when I go to sell it, was it free? No, there was a cost to it. I spent some money to get to where I was on the path to get the Radiant card, but definitely was not the recent comp. It's not going to be the comp of a PSA 10 or PSA 9, whatever I end up grading it. Right? Its value will be monetarily less than, but maybe memory wise greater than. So, and I even say this, right? I would rather do breaks than boxes, but that, and I'm kind of going off topic here because I easily could have had a bad experience in that box. Could have opened it and got nothing, and then that longevity of that money might have stopped there. Maybe there's a few dollars that sprinkle out of that, right? Maybe it's the buyback money that I got. Maybe it's a hoops box that I open a year from now, and that has a big banger in it, right? But still, when you are stringing, when you're investing, whatever, I don't know, when you put money in something that's continued to give you returns, it grows over time. That's part of the excitement and fun of this hobby. I feel bad if I don't have a water with me. So I'm going to take a quick break, grab a water, and be right back. And we're going to talk about December in the hobby, what to expect. I did grab these cards. Here's my Otani, the $350 $100 bill, $20 bill, $120 right there, buyback. And then here is that gorgeous Radiant. This card pops like me when I open it. It's a gold card. I was like, is this numbered to 10? It's not numbered at all. It does look like super short printed, probably one per case, one card, and then, you know, hitting the Corbin Carroll there is pretty damn sweet. You cannot argue with that. So it is, like I said, November 29th, December right around the corner. Things that are on my radar for December. First of all, I'll say this. I find December is still a good time to sell cards because typically people either buying or selling cards for Christmas. Not the best time. I'm not saying you're making tons of money, but I sent cards to DCA. I'm probably going to send another, I think it's at 20 off, probably send another 10 or 20, maybe that's 30 to 40 cards. I send them in groups of like 10 normally. It's weird. I stagger them trying to hit the right auction time and stuff. And oftentimes I'm selling the same card a couple times, right? I don't want to sell in the same lot, so I sell it a couple weeks later. So anyway, draft and Prizm football are on my radar. I'll be honest, I don't have the knowledge that I'd like to have in the draft class and the product sport and all the stuff that I do in football. So I'm probably going to dip my toe in draft. I'll probably do a few draft things. I don't think I would buy any boxes directly. They're going to be expensive. I think breaks are the best way to go into draft. But I have to get a better sense of the team and how that's all going to go down. But Prizm football, I will say I'm putting a lot of effort, energy, research into Prizm football. At the same time, I don't want to be over committed. Like I feel like I'm preparing for a hunting trip. We're going to go hunt Prizm football in the wherever you want to call it. But at the same time, I might get there, and the Prizm football might be too high in the mountain for me to go after. I'm not going to chase the wrong. I'm not going to shoot the wrong Prizm team. I'm not going to chase a crap team. There's probably 4 or 5 teams that I would go after in PYTs, and that's it. So I'm excited about that. I'm looking into that. But I'm also looking to see what goes on in hobby, right? We have that auction ending, I think December 3rd, that big card. There's probably going to be some other news. I think we'll get some more clarity before the end of the year into the new year about Prizm and Tops and who's going to be printing what next year. A couple things that came to my attention. I want a huge shout out to SCV, one of the best channels out there. The young man says stuff on his channel that really makes me think things that I'm like, damn, I wish I had said that. You're absolutely right. Like he went off the other day about people complaining about PSA upcharges. I agree. I've never been upset about that. When I've gotten upcharged, the biggest inconvenience, I'll be honest with you, is that I didn't budget it in. So I'm like, fuck, I got to take money over here, move it over there. I don't have a big cash flow for cards sitting around. So that's the inconvenience. But at the same time, I'm like, damn, what card was that? Let's get that bitch on the market. You know what I'm saying? At least that's the way I look at it. So you're complaining because somebody told you, hey, your cards are worth more money. And as he pointed out, the reason your cards are worth more money is because they make them worth more money. You know what I'm saying? Like it should be a symbiotic relationship, business to business. He's absolutely right in the sense that we should be supporting PSA, who does so much to make cards. Like I wish PSA, if you're listening, you should create a user community where you actually at least pretend like you're taking feedback from the users. Like pick 12 people who are nominated by the community and they meet you once a year for a lunch at the National, and you give feedback and you give them vision. And I don't know, cool. We eat that shit up. I guess you kind of do that with the set registry, but broaden the set registry. Here's my comment about that. The people who get the set registry get the set registry. The people who don't. And you're missing out on a large market when you just don't reach out to those that don't. We'll come back to set registry in a little bit, but going on SCV, I mean, another thing he made a great comment about that I totally agree with, especially coming into December. If someone were to say to you, I'm going to buy sports cards, how do you recommend I buy them? I think I would tell them to go buy them on eBay using their credit card, where they are protected by their credit card company and they're protected by eBay as a buyer. That's what I tell them. It's the safest, easiest place to do it. And as SCV pointed out, as a seller too, I mean, eBay is still the #1 eyes in the world. Everybody's complaining about the fees. I mean, you still are making more money off your card on eBay than you would if you saw some other platform. Now, there are always exceptions. I know that. I'm not going to argue that. But in general, if you're new to the hobby, or just this is something you're just trying to get cash flow, and this is why I'll tell you, I'm justifying. Another thing he made a comment about is sometimes you got to ball it up, man. You got to just put your balls on the table and go in the auction. You can't sit there going, oh, I'm going to stay to buy it now, man, and wait for a good offer to come in because I don't want to be the lowest comp. Sometimes you got to set the comp. So I sent a bunch of cards to DC87. I'll say two things that he brought up in the video that I'll be honest, I'm going to confess right now, I am still addicted to. I use a subber and I use consignment. Now, my reasons, I feel justified. In my life, what I do, my family, my time is very expensive. And to me, sitting down to sub cards, PSA, I have thought about it a lot. I really, really have. I just don't think it's something I'm going to tackle. I'm going to revisit it in 2024. And then the other one, consigning. I don't like doing my own eBay listings. A lot of reasons for that. I feel like as a content creator, influencer, I distance myself by using DC87, and I'm looking at probably using another consigner, just because I don't even want to tell you that I'm using it so you can look for my cards. I don't want anybody to know that my cards are. All my cards are sell as if they would in a market as an anonymous seller. And I don't want to be, not that I'm doing this, but I don't want people worried about, oh, is he buying his own cards? No, I'm not. I guess you can find my account. You can see my bidding on my cards, but I'll put it this way. I don't buy cards on eBay anyway, so I'm not worried about that. I can show you my buying history. Pretty cool. But I just think December, safety, growth, presence. I told you I'm making my time capsule. For those who don't know, I put together, and I did this every year, but I honestly break it before the year's over often. I've had a few of them that survive. And what I mean by that is I really put cards in a box from that year, and I tape them up, and I say, we're going to save this for a couple of years, and we'll open up and remember 2020. I have a few cards from 2020 that are from time capsules, but the good cards were broken out, right? So I have like Topps baseball from 2020. I think I have some soccer from 2020, but the football's gone, the basketball's gone. So I'm going to build a 2023 time capsule. I'm hoping to put some cool stuff in there. I'm going to put my sapphire boxes in there and store that away for at least a year, maybe 2 years. So when I open it up, it'll be something cool. I can talk about the memories and those cards. And I can also see those cards really become kind of that reserve inventory. If I needed to, I could open one, sell one, trade one, whatever I have. So and that's often why I say too, those football boxes aren't there anymore. Sold them, traded them. They gain value in this time capsule. So we'll see. I'm a big fan of time capsules. Let's talk a little bit about StarStock tag updates. And kind of a thought I had on this. So first of all, if you haven't followed this, StarStock got acquired by, I don't know, Collectors Exchange or something like that. Looks interesting. Memorabilia company getting the sports cards. Great. And Tag is coming out with a new grading system. Great. Here's what I want you to take away from that. There are a lot of different marketplaces. There's that young man who started that Buy Sports Cards marketplace. Great website. I've never used it. Looks cool. Looks like it's awesome. And it makes me think to myself, and let me say this too. If you're out there, if you're wondering yourself, should I start a business in sports cards? I'm going to tell you yes. I'm going to tell you yes. DM me. I'd be happy to give you more information. Where I'd say not to do it, don't do it as a local card store. Okay, don't do it as a brick and mortar local card store. That's a terrible market to get into. But if you want to be a grader, this grading is still open. I mean, and the reason I say that it's more competitive because there's so many options out there. But GMA didn't go away. KSI didn't go away. HGA is not going to go away. A lot of these companies are not going away. They're grading cards. Like people just want to put cards in protective sleeves, and they just want an opinion from somebody else, and they don't care. They really don't care. They're just, like I talked about earlier, some people just transient to the hobby. They're here 6 months. They don't care. And the 6 months are here. They want a cool slab. They're going to give it to their kid, give it to their friend, put it away in their buck in a Foot Locker, they're done. So there's so many opportunities there. Slab covers. Again, a lot of it's done, but there still is a market for it. What was the one I was talking about? The StarStock Marketplace, tag, and their grading. Oh, here's my number one reason for that. I'm curious about, I'd love to see or hear any company report to me their user community enrollment. Like I'm assuming like 2020, there was a big spike of users, and I'm assuming there's a decline. But I'm also assuming new users coming in is probably strong. It's not the spike that we had in 2020, but I have a feeling that if you look at, is this hobby growing, right? If I'm even StarStock, who's probably was declining in user community, probably was getting some new people, surprisingly more than we think. KSA, GMA, HGA, these companies that that I guess the elite, look down upon. I think they probably saw an uptick in users that we are just would be shocked by. And the reason I say that is because I think, again, a lot of people come in the hobby and they don't come in to research and learn everything. They just come in to have fun. They went to a little card store. They opened a box with their kids. They opened a box with their friends. They saw something happen. They did something, and they're in the moment for about, I'm going to say the average lifespan of hobbyists is just over 1 year. I'm going to go, I would say maybe 18 months. Like I feel like if they're really good, they maybe participate in 2 seasons of a sport, right? They came in football and then they stick around for football the second year, right? But I don't see a lot that stick around for years. And maybe I'm wrong. There are a lot that we interact with, right? We all know a lot of people who are like that. But again, we're here a long time. So we get to know those people. And then here's another thing I'll quickly say, kind of an SCP reference. Then we build this false trust that because we know them, because they've been around a long time, that they're just a trustworthy person. When reality is we're probably more likely to get scammed by people that we just know and we happen to be present with over time than people that we've never met if we just did it online, did it securely. So just think about that, right? So that transient, and I've hit on this several times in this, I think that is part of lifeblood of this hobby. Almost like I make the comments and jokes about sheep and the wolves and what watchdogs. There are new sheep being born every day in the hobby, just coming in to just eat grass, get sheared, and have a good time. And they don't care. And they're not having a bad time doing that, right? They enjoyed the experience, the moment. They went to a game, they overpaid for a card, they got on Fanatics Live because they met a player. That is part of the hobby. I guess I'm now like, it's like the Matrix. After you take the red pill, you step back far enough, you start to realize this. You start to realize, yeah, man, it's okay. It is okay. These businesses don't have to come in here to be number one. They can just come here and deliver service and give good customer service, I hope, and make money, right? Like when we talk about, oh, SGC this, SGC that, I'm critical of them. They don't care. They're printing money. That's one of the biggest arguments, I think, is that they really don't care. They're making so much money grading cards that there's a lot of things like, well, why would we change this? I mean, do you see how much money you're making? Like, could you imagine if you're at a club just partying with this guy and he's got like, a bunch of table service and got some hot chicks and he comes up and you're like, hey man, what do you do? And you start talking to each other. He's like, yeah, man, I own a company and we just give opinions on cards. He goes, really? What's the name of the company? Like, it's SGC, what again do you do? I just give opinions on cards. That's it. I make a ton of money. And here's the best thing. It's not even his opinion. He just built a company that gets other people to give their opinions on cards. And he gets paid a lot of money for that. And what I'm saying by that, just follow me on this. There is no one person, I don't think, but someone had the balls to go out there, make a grading company and said, look, we're going to create a name. We're going to have a slab, a grading system, and we're going to slab your cards. And we're just going to put our head down and we're going to do that. And we're going to do that. And people are going to comment on us and rain on us and poo on us. And we're just going to keep our head down. We're going to keep our head down. And this goes back to really think about Tag. Tag's been doing this for 10 years. They don't care. They keep their head down. They're making money. They don't care. As long as they make money, they don't care. And we on the outside are like, oh man, this one's number one, that one's terrible. This is that. We're the fanboys who get so passionate over it. And I'm thinking to myself, why? This man's not even, the person who runs these companies isn't even doing the grading. He convinced you that somebody else that he's paying a lot less money to is good at grading. Isn't that amazing? That's why I've said this before. It is freaking wizards and magic. It is complete wizards and lots of magic. I hope that made sense. I'm going a little long here. I want to wrap up here. I want to talk about last two things: advanced set collecting and what I'm doing in hobby. I mentioned you earlier, I was thinking about doing my own subbing for PSA. I don't think I'm going to do it. Part of it is I don't like PSA. Like, I don't like the company, collectors, a company. Too many things I don't like about it. Like, the only thing I like about it is the PSA slabs make me more money than other slabs. That's it. I wish that Beckett was PSA, or I wish SGC was PSA, or I wish somebody else was that, but it is what it is. But here's one thing I want to talk about. I did watch, I hope you guys check this out. I think it's Ian IF Sports Cards. The Thor sports cards. That guy reminds me of Thor. The dude just looks like he has a long hair. Just he's Thor. And he's got a baby and a wife. I don't think the baby's been on, but the wife's been on. Good show. Good show. I haven't always been a fan. Like, I'll be honest, I didn't like his show because back in the day, he was recommending some repack that some idiot had that had no checklist. I was like, dude, Ian, how can you come out and endorse these things? You're much better than this. And I was just disgusted by it. And, you know, that's me. And hopefully he listened to me and maybe he changed. I haven't seen him endorsing scammy repacks. I'll just leave it at that. So he does a show every week, the top 10 hits, and he prices these cards. And I just says, if you want to get a pulse for how the hobby is, when people say, is the hobby dead? Is the hobby alive? Is the hobby growing? Is the hobby this? Watch that show every week. I've said this about baseball card collector, investor, dealer, eBay, which shows you the top auctions of that. The auctions and the hits coming out show you the strength of the card. Now, I'll say the if thing, he makes a lot of assumptions on card values, like a 101 will come out and go, I'm guessing this is $6,000 because the number to 5 went for that much. Those are some interesting assumptions and a lot of things we should take into consideration. But what I can tell you is, guys, is every freaking week there is a new product coming out with new big hits in it. I mean, just again, watch every month. Watch his show every month where he does the retail breaks and the retail big hits. And you'll see that, you know, cards coming out of retail, you know, from 500 to thousands of dollars from different products, from Leaf to Mosaic to Dobbs to whatever. It's staggering. Like, when that show is not doing well, when you're watching that show and the top hits like $100, $200, or things aren't going that well, that is when the canary is dead in the coal mine, and you need to get the hell out of the hobby. I'll mention this too. He promotes PSA, and he promoted on there. They have a package, collector's package. I think it's $200. And for $200, you get a $120 gift card to Loop, and you get free card ladder for a year. And then you think to myself, I could use that to finally get card ladder again, since Chris McGill and Josh took away my card ladder account, and I can't critique it, and I have no communication. I don't bring it up in this video, but I did reach out to all the data companies to ask them about private sales data. And I did hear back. I heard from Card Hedge and from Sports Card Market Movers. So I'll share that in a later video. Anyway, advanced set collecting. Did I touch this yet? Okay. Listening to Mike's group, Mike and EP and Joe Day, talking about set collecting. Here's what I realized. I used to say the same thing. It's like, why do people collect sets? I've collected sets. It's kind of fun. It's a chase. It's like something to accomplish. And then most sets get broken. Or I buy sets and I break the set. So is set collecting dead? The answer is no. I go back to the Ian video, the F video. Every time a new product's coming out, a new set goes in the set registry, or could go to the set registry. It doesn't always go in there. It's not automatic. I mean, someone's requested or whatever, but a set can go to the set registry. Now, what I'll tell you is it's not these base sets that are going in there. People aren't, in my opinion, chasing the base cards, but they are chasing the bigger things. They're chasing the autos and sets. They're chasing the refractors, the numbered refractors, the goals. There's more of that going on, in my opinion, than has ever happened before. You tell me if I'm wrong or right. And when you think about set collecting, I think set collecting of base cards, probably a dying business, or a stagnant one where people will do it because it's something they've done traditionally. It's easy to teach the kids. It's accomplishment. There's a couple things about it. Again, I understand that. But the high-end advanced set collecting, very, very strong. Go back to the conversation listening to the guy who's collecting PSA set registry cards for, I think it was Game of Thrones. Not in my radar. But if there's Game of Thrones, there's probably one for Stranger Things. There's probably one for, you know, Big Bang Theory. I don't know. There's probably card sets and autograph sets and high-end collectible sets for all those things. And I say to myself again, why is PSA the only one who's built that registry? Why has no other company come out and do this? I mean, I've had ideas before about doing a global registry and you can innovate and and create a competitive environment. I tell you, there's nothing more important than the gaming / the competitive nature of collectors competing with each other to be first, to be number one, to get on the board. I go back to Fortnite. My son plays Fortnite. He wants to be ranked. He wants to have his numbers, his score go up, all this stuff. I understand that. Why are we not doing more of that in sports cards? I tell you, that to me is the missing piece. It's something that just button has not been pressed yet. That's there. That's a $1 million deal, guys. Someone going $1 million gamifying sports / trading card collecting. Gamify it for us. Gamify it for us. Okay. And this is a little longer than I like. Let me just wrap up what I'm doing. Time capsule. That's on my list. And not just like create it, maybe start building it this week. I'm going to do some more focus on the draft, Bowman draft, and Prizm NFL. Those are both coming out mid-December, so I've got some time to plan for that. In doing that, like I said, I'm starting to build my war chest. I'm sending cards to sell, but 20 out, probably another, like I said, 10 to 20 prepared to do that. I want to point out, I was talking to a sports card dad. He did a video on Prizm, and I'll just quickly give you my feedback to my Prizm. No secrets here. What I'm doing, I look at Prizm as there are 4 teams that you can go after and target. With the 4 quarterbacks that I think will get attention. There's probably a 5th or 6th. I haven't done enough research on this. I'm referring to obviously CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, Levis, and Hooker. That's Lions, Titans, Carolina, and Texans. They're going to be expensive for the Texans and Carolina. I think Lions will be lower, but they'll still be on people's radar. Like the breakers aren't asleep. People aren't foolish. Everybody knows who the quarterbacks are. But my goal would be you go after 4 or 5 cases of those PYTs on those teams, and you're going for the base cards, refractor cards, the insert card, the number card, the, if possible, autographs, but also vets in that team or that class. Like, for example, if you're going for the Lions, and maybe there's and again, I don't know the checklist, but let's say Barry Sanders has a Magna in there. That's a good chase card that you have to go after, right? It gives you a little backup. You can hit that, right? Because what you're looking for when you go after these breaks, in my opinion, I'm going after getting a bunch of cards, acquiring them in December, January. I'm not in a race to sell them because, as we know, by February, the market's already declined, right? But I'm getting these ready, PSA graded and prepared for April. That's the draft. And in the summer, when the hype into the National and people are buying football. We watch this every year. This is a no-brainer. There's no secrets here. I'm not the only one doing this, but this is how I will be planning and looking into football. And I'll say this too. Over the summer, over the spring, you have retail breaks that'll happen. You'll have some hobby boxes that'll come out. They'll be more expensive by then, but there's so many other options as we get into that. So that's what I'm doing, what I'm looking forward to, what I'm focusing on. Guys, I hope you enjoy this rambling conversation. You know, I thought about, well, we'll talk about that later in the future. Have a great day. Be safe, stay happy, and see you next week.